Did you know that your unconscious mind often recognizes the love of your life long before your rational thoughts even begin to notice? Carl Jung, one of the greatest visionaries of psychology, revealed something that can shatter everything you thought you knew about love. And let me warn you, what you are about to hear might shake the foundation of your past and present relationships. It might explain why certain connections that looked perfect on paper left you strangely unfulfilled, and why others, unexpected and inexplicable, stirred something in you so profound that words could never capture it. There is a hidden force at work within you, a mysterious pattern woven into the fabric of your psyche. Jung called it the anima and animus, the unseen counterparts that shape how we are drawn to another human being. They are not just romantic ideas or poetic inventions. They are living forces that act like a magnetic pull, drawing us toward the one person who holds the key to unlocking parts of ourselves we never knew were waiting to awaken. This isn't the shallow spark of attraction that burns out after a season. It is something older, deeper, almost cosmic, an energy that rearranges you from the inside out. But here is the unsettling truth. Most people ignore these signals. They chase what their ego craves, what society praises, or what seems convenient. They look for beauty, status, or comfort, but overlook the deeper resonance that their soul is quietly calling for. And in doing so, they miss the one connection that could transform their existence. When I speak of the soul here, I don't mean the sentimental fantasy of love stories. I mean the raw, unfiltered essence of who you are, the part of you that is not content with surface-level harmony, but longs for completion. Completion that comes only when you stand face to face with the love meant to change you forever. Jung spent over 40 years listening to the silent struggles of people searching for love, belonging, and meaning. In that time, he noticed repeating patterns, signs that showed up again and again whenever someone encountered the kind of love that leaves no part of you untouched. This love is not about comfort. It is not about fitting into an easy story you can explain to your friends. It is a fire that burns through your illusions, forcing you to see yourself and the other with terrifying clarity. And yet, that fire doesn't destroy. It forges you into something truer, more whole, more alive. The first whisper of this kind of love is what Jung described as the activation of your hidden counterpart. Every man carries within him an inner feminine, shaped not only by his mother, but by every significant female presence in his life. Every woman carries within her an inner masculine, formed by her experiences with the men who crossed her path. These hidden energies live quietly in the depths of our unconscious, waiting. But when you encounter the person destined to awaken them, something extraordinary happens. You don't just feel attraction, you feel recognition, as if a long-lost part of you has suddenly returned. Think back to the people who have passed through your life. Some of them may have been kind, affectionate, even loyal, and yet you felt an invisible barrier, a distance that no amount of effort could bridge. They loved you, perhaps, but they never saw you. And then there are others, rare, unforgettable, where the moment you meet them, you feel as though you have known them forever. That is not coincidence. That is not imagination. That is your unconscious counterpart stirring awake, telling you, here is the one who can reach the deepest layers of your being. Jung observed something astonishing about this awakening. It does not always feel pleasant. In fact, it can feel profoundly unsettling. It is as if someone has walked into the hidden chambers of your mind and started rearranging the furniture without your permission. You feel drawn and terrified at once because you sense that this person holds the power to alter you in ways you cannot control. And that is exactly why so many run away. They prefer safety to transformation, comfort to truth. But the ones who stay, the ones who dare to lean into the storm, discover that true love is not meant to leave you the same. It is meant to remake you. When this happens, you may notice sides of yourself that you buried long ago begin to surface. A man who thought he had to suppress his vulnerability may suddenly feel a tenderness and emotional depth he hasn't touched since childhood. A woman who believed she had to be pleasing and accommodating might feel a fierce strength rising inside her, a voice that demands to be heard. This is not about someone completing you in a cliché romantic sense. It is about someone unlocking the doors you have kept shut, awakening you to the forgotten dimensions of your own soul. And here lies the paradox. The very person who can stir this awakening in you is also the one who can unsettle your carefully constructed identity. Because true love is not about adding a pleasant companion to your life. It is about facing the raw mirror of who you are and who you are meant to become. It is about being confronted with both your beauty and your shadows. And while most of the world runs from that intensity, those who are brave enough to stay find themselves stepping into a love that doesn't just touch the heart, but reshapes the soul. When Jung spoke about this kind of love, he often warned that the moment of awakening is not a comfortable blessing. It is a confrontation. He called it the constellation of a complex, a psychic reorganization that takes place when a person triggers the deepest layers of your unconscious. Imagine someone stepping into the hidden architecture of your being and pressing the exact buttons that you have spent years avoiding. That is why meeting the love of your life can feel both exhilarating and terrifying. It is not simply about attraction. It is about evolution. And evolution rarely feels gentle. This is where many people stumble. They crave the sweetness of romance, but resist the fire of transformation. They want a partner who affirms their ego, not one who dismantles it. Yet Jung observed that true love, archetypal love, will not allow you to remain small. It will not let you cling to the familiar masks you present to the world. Instead, it insists on pulling every hidden part of you into the light. And that brings us to something Jung considered essential for wholeness: the shadow. The shadow is the part of you you've tried to bury, the traits you deny, the impulses you repress, the flaws you pretend don't exist. But the shadow is not only darkness, it is also untapped strength, creativity, and potential waiting to be acknowledged. And here's the profound truth. The love of your life is not the person who ignores your shadow, nor the one who tries to erase it, but the one who looks directly at it without flinching. They don't glamorize you or project perfection onto you. They see your entirety, the luminous and the broken, and they stay. Think of the relationships you've had in the past. How many of them collapsed, not because of the surface issues you fought over, but because something deeper, something unspoken, was eating away at the bond. That unspoken weight is usually the shadow. Most people unconsciously project their own rejected parts onto their partner, blaming them for qualities they themselves cannot accept. But when you meet the love of your life, projection gives way to revelation. This person becomes the mirror in which you finally recognize the parts of yourself you were too afraid to claim. And instead of judging you for them, they invite you to integrate them, to weave them back into the fabric of who you are. This kind of acceptance is not indulgence. It is alchemy. Suddenly, what once seemed like unbearable flaws begin to transform into unexpected strengths. Your critical eye, which ruined relationships in the past, becomes the very tool that sharpens wisdom when seen through the lens of love. Your stubbornness, once resented, reveals itself as perseverance in the right context. Even your sensitivity, which has caused you so much pain, emerges as a gift of profound empathy. The love of your life doesn't erase your flaws. They reveal how those very flaws can be transfigured into something meaningful. But this is not without challenge, because the one who sees your shadow will also call it out. They will not let you hide behind excuses or self-deception. They will hold up the mirror again and again until you are forced to face what you have denied. This is why such love often feels like both sanctuary and battlefield. It is tender enough to make you feel safe, but fierce enough to strip away illusions. It is not always comfortable, but it is always transformative. And here is the paradox. Most people never understand. The conflicts in such relationships do not weaken the bond. They deepen it. Because both of you sense, perhaps unconsciously, that these struggles are not meant to tear you apart, but to pull more of your true selves into the open. What feels like confrontation is, in reality, collaboration with destiny. The ego may resist, but the soul knows. This is the work that makes us whole. Jung often reminded his patients that the presence of conflict is not a sign of failure in love, but a sign of growth. A love that never disturbs you, never challenges you, never unsettles you is not the love that transforms. It is the love that lets you sleep. But the love of your life is not here to let you sleep. It is here to awaken you. And as this awakening unfolds, another force enters the picture, one Jung considered among the most mysterious of all: synchronicity. These are the moments when life itself seems to conspire to keep you connected, when chance bends into meaning. You begin to notice improbable patterns, encounters, symbols, dreams that defy logic but feel undeniably significant. It is as though the universe itself is whispering, "Pay attention, this is not random." Have you ever experienced that uncanny sequence of events where everything seems aligned to bring you closer to someone? Maybe you kept running into them in places you both had no logical reason to be. Maybe a mutual friend who didn't even know you belonged in each other's lives connected you by accident. Maybe you dreamed of them before you even met them. Jung calculated the odds of some of these synchronicities and found they bordered on the impossible. But impossible is exactly what love of this magnitude feels like. It bends the laws of probability to make itself known. And the synchronicities don't stop when you come together. They multiply. You find yourselves thinking the same thought at the same moment. You dream dreams that seem to echo each other's inner worlds. You feel the other's joy or pain across distance, as if you share the same emotional radar. Jung called this mystical participation, a communion that defies the limits of neuroscience. It is not dependency, not obsession. It is resonance, the way two instruments tuned to the same frequency will vibrate together even across a room. This is why the love of your life feels less like finding a person and more like finding a truth. It is not just romance, it is alignment. Alignment with your destiny, with your unconscious, with the archetypes that shape your deepest self. The universe does not waste synchronicity on trivial encounters. It uses it to signal the sacred. And when you experience this kind of meaningful coincidence surrounding a person, it is not luck, it is a calling. When you stand in the orbit of such a connection, you begin to notice something else, an expansion of yourself, as if the love has turned on hidden lights in rooms you never dared to enter. Jung believed that most of us live in fragments, only activating a narrow range of our inner archetypes. We play a role, perhaps the caregiver, the achiever, the rebel, but the rest of the orchestra within us remains silent, waiting for the right conductor. And then, suddenly, the love of your life arrives, and the music begins. It's as though this person carries the master key to your psyche. They don't just awaken the lover within you. They awaken the sage, the dreamer, the warrior, the artist, the healer. They stir aspects of your humanity that you didn't know you possessed, and they do it without effort. Simply by being in their presence, you find yourself braver, wiser, softer, sharper. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because they have unlocked something ancient and authentic inside you. Think of it like a piano that has been played only on a few keys your entire life. You thought that was all you were capable of. And then this person sits down, and suddenly the full range of notes comes alive. You realize you were never incomplete. You were simply waiting for the right resonance to set your soul vibrating at its fullest pitch. And the miracle is that this activation is mutual. The love of your life does not just open you. They are opened by you. Their hidden archetypes, too, come rushing into the light. Together you create a field of energy that magnifies everything. Your combined intelligence exceeds the sum of your individual thoughts. Your creativity multiplies. Your resilience in the face of crisis grows stronger. It is as if your souls are in dialogue, teaching each other languages neither of you could have learned alone. Have you ever been with someone who makes you feel like your best self? Not because you're performing, not because you're pretending, but because they somehow draw out the very essence of who you are. That is what Jung meant by archetypal activation. It is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were always meant to be. But this awakening carries another profound gift: the feeling of stepping into your personal myth. Jung believed each of us is born carrying a unique narrative, an archetypal story that gives meaning to our existence. Most people never discover it. They move through life like actors improvising on a stage without ever having seen the script. They sense that something is missing, but cannot name it. Life feels fragmented, like a series of disconnected episodes. But when the love of your life appears, suddenly the fragments align. The story makes sense. It feels as though you have been living only half of your myth, and now, with this person, the other half is revealed. Suddenly your past, every heartbreak, every failure, every lonely night, no longer feels wasted. You see it as preparation, as essential chapters leading to this moment. Even your deepest wounds take on new meaning, because without them, you would not be ready for this connection. Pain transforms into wisdom. Loss reveals itself as a hidden teacher. And love steps forward not as a fleeting romance, but as the central thread that ties your entire life together. This is why Jung spoke of the union of opposites. The love of your life is not your mirror image. They are your counterpart. Where you are weak, they call forth strength. Where you are blind, they offer vision. Where you are hardened, they soften you. And your differences do not divide you. They create a greater whole, something more complete than either of you could be alone. But here lies the greatest challenge. Such love is not easy. It demands more than ordinary affection. It demands transformation. It asks you to surrender the illusion of control, to step into a process you cannot fully direct or predict. It asks you to let yourself be seen, not the polished mask you show the world, but the trembling, imperfect, unguarded self beneath it. Are you ready for that? Few are, Many run from it, choosing safer, simpler relationships that allow them to remain hidden. But those who stay discover something extraordinary. Love not as comfort, but as destiny. And destiny always comes with a cost. It requires courage. It requires honesty. It requires the willingness to let go of everything small in you that resists becoming whole. The love of your life will not let you stay asleep. They will shake you, wake you, pull you into your myth, even when you resist. And if you are brave enough to surrender, to walk through that fire, you will emerge not only in love, but transformed. Perhaps you have already met someone who stirs these signs within you. Perhaps you have felt the strange familiarity, the synchronicities that won't let you ignore them. The way your hidden self begins to awaken in their presence. If so, listen closely. Do not dismiss it as coincidence. Do not drown it in doubt. Your unconscious is trying to show you something profound, something that could alter the very course of your life. But here is where the choice becomes unavoidable. To recognize the love of your life is one thing. To embrace it is another. Because once those 5 signs emerge, the activation of your hidden counterpart, the integration of your shadow, the flood of synchronicities, the awakening of multiple archetypes, and the sudden awareness of living your personal myth. You cannot go back to seeing love as ordinary. You are faced with a decision that will shape your destiny. Will you step into this truth, or will you retreat into the safety of the familiar? Jung warned that most people turn away at the very threshold of transformation. They sense the power of what is unfolding, and it terrifies them. To love at this depth means surrendering the illusion that you are in control of who you become. It means allowing another human being to see every crack, every fracture, every fragile truth you've tried to hide. And yet, paradoxically, it is only by exposing those vulnerabilities that love deepens. Imagine being fully seen in your darkest moments, not only tolerated, but embraced, and realizing that their love doesn't shrink, but grows. That is the terrifying beauty of archetypal love. It demands radical honesty, and in return, it offers radical wholeness. Ask yourself, are you ready for such intimacy? Are you ready to look into someone's eyes and see not only your best self reflected back at you, but also your shadow, your wounds, your unmet potential, and still say yes? Because that is the true test. It is easy to accept a partner who flatters your strengths. It is far harder to stand beside one who calls forth every hidden part of your soul. Yet that is the only love capable of transforming you into who you were meant to be. This is why the love of your life often feels less like romance and more like destiny. It is not about convenience. It is not about having someone to share meals with or watch the days go by. It is about walking together into the sacred fire of growth, knowing you will be reshaped by it. And once you have glimpsed this, nothing less will ever satisfy you again. But the question remains, will you be brave enough? Because this kind of love does not force itself into your life. It appears, it reveals itself, and then it waits for your response. You can cling to your comfort zone, repeating patterns that keep you small, or you can choose courage, stepping into a bond that will dismantle every illusion, but give you back your soul. Jung described meeting true love as a meeting with the divine within ourselves, not divine in the religious sense, but divine in the way opposites unite, the masculine and feminine, the light and shadow, the conscious and unconscious. When you merge with the person who awakens these forces, you experience what Jung called the self, the wholeness of your being finally coming alive. It is not just about finding a partner. It is about encountering your own completeness through them. And here lies the secret Jung left us with. The love of your life is not a fairy tale. It is a crucible. It will not let you remain unchanged. It will ask for your patience, your trust, your willingness to surrender control to forces greater than your mind can comprehend. And yes, it will hurt sometimes. Growth always does. But it is the kind of pain that remakes you, the kind of fire that does not destroy, but purifies. So what will you choose? To run from the signs, to bury them under distractions and shallow comforts, convincing yourself you are fine as you are? Or to answer the call, to step into the unfolding myth of your existence and embrace the person who holds the key to your transformation? Remember this: your unconscious already knows. Your soul already recognizes. The question is not whether you will find them. The question is whether you will listen when you do. Do not underestimate the cost of ignoring this calling. A life without this kind of love may still be safe, but it will always feel incomplete. There will always be an echo of something missing, a whisper from the depths reminding you that you chose fear over courage. But a life with this love, though it demands everything, will give you more than you imagined possible. It will give you not only a partner, but a mirror, not only passion, but purpose, not only companionship, but completion. This is the message Jung left behind. True love is not entertainment, not convenience, not illusion. It is the very force that calls you into your highest destiny. And when those 5 signs appear, when you feel the activation of your hidden counterpart, when your shadow comes into the light, when synchronicities multiply, when archetypes awaken, and when your myth begins to unfold, pay attention. These are not accidents. These are invitations. Because the love of your life is not simply a person. They are the doorway to the most authentic, powerful, and luminous version of yourself. To embrace them is to embrace your own becoming. And in the end, that is what love was always meant to be. Not a distraction from your path, but the very fire that forges it. So ask yourself now, as you hear these words, if your soul is calling, will you have the courage to answer?